are here for our next book date for our 2019 books. The other way around. 19 books in 2019. It's getting late. So I have been reading Richard Montanari's The Killing Room and I have finished it. This was my first delve into crime, suspense, thriller kind of books, and I can honestly say I love them. I do. I absolutely love them. I watch a lot of those types of programs on TV, the Wire in the Blood, Frost, all those sort of detective type of programs. I love these types of films where it's kind of like a crime thriller movies, not horror, but like crime thrillers. I love these types of movies, but I've never really delved into the book genre before, but this was an amazing book. It was absolutely brilliant. The writing was great, the pace, the plot development, it really made you want to keep turning the pages even. Normally I will read while I'm painting my nails. Ignore that nail, it came off. I will normally read while I'm painting my nails, but with this book, I read it when I was doing my makeup. I read it when I was sat on the loo. TMI, I know. But the point is, I couldn't put this book down. I wanted to keep reading. Now, when I first started the book, it got a little bit confusing because if you're used to, like I was, a story going from A to B to C to D, following a chronological sort of order throughout the book to get to its end destination, this book doesn't do that. This book jumps. It jumps from A to P to R to E to, it jumps all over the place. So it's jumping like from different scenes. So you'll be with the main characters, then you'll be with the killer, then you'll be in the past, then you'll be with a completely side story that you're unsure if that has any relevance to the main story at all, but there's something in the back of your head saying, just hang on, just wait, there's a reason why this is being told. Not once do you ever feel on these side stories that you're being pulled away from the main story for no reason. It's not just there to fill a chapter, it's there for a reason, and you feel like there's something in this side story that you're gonna need to remember later on, and it does. All of those little side paths off the main story eventually do come all the way back round to the final ending of this book, which literally grabbed me by the teeth, and it was just, oh, I loved it. I had 100 pages left of this book and I was like, I'm not coming downstairs until I've finished it. That's how much I love this book. I will say one warning, however, if you are sensitive to reading about death in a child, you are not going to like this book. It does include that sort of subject, the death of a child. So if you are sensitive to that kind of subject, you may not want to read this, but that's the only warning I would give you about this book, and it would be a great shame if you couldn't read this book because of that. Not that there's anything wrong with being sensitive about it, you know, we all have our reasons. But yeah, I felt a little uncomfortable at that point in the book. It was, to be fair, one of the characters in the book got about as agitated as I was getting about it. And through that character's agitation, you kind of felt like they were voicing your own agitation. So that did kind of help me to kind of get through it. It wasn't like the characters in the book were like getting through it with no issues. The characters in the book were feeling as agitated and as sensitive about the child's death as you as a reader could be. So although it's kind of a sensitive subject, the writer, Richard Montanari, dealt with it in such a way that it was perfect. It was perfect the way he dealt with it. And yeah, so I would just give that warning. But it would be a great shame if you don't pick up this book and give it a read, because I thought it was phenomenal. Absolutely amazing. And he has written other books with the same main characters, the two detectives, and I will be looking for those books. I will be looking for the book. It is called The Stolen Ones, I think it's called. Let me have a look. Yeah, The Stolen Ones is another book written with the same two detective characters in it. So I will be looking to pick that up in the future. So yes, definitely give that a 10 out of 10 rating. So the next book I have moved on to, because I have read sort of two very fictional, sort of heavy kind of stories, as I want to call them, I thought I would turn to a couple of facts. So I picked The Templars, History and Myth by Michael Haag, or Haig, not sure, Haig, it's that. So yeah, this is the basically the story of the Templars. From Solomon's Temple to the Freemasons, a guide to Templar history, culture and locations. The blurb on the back says, an order of warrior monks founded after the First Crusade to protect pilgrims to Jerusalem, the Templars became one of the wealthiest and most powerful bodies in the medieval world. Yet 2 centuries later, the knights were suddenly arrested and accused of blasphemy, heresy and orgies. Their order was abolished and their leaders burnt at the stake. Their dramatic end shocked their contemporaries and has gripped imaginations ever since. This new book is the first history since the Vatican published sensational records of the trial, showing that the Templars were innocent of heresy. Doesn't say anything else that they were innocent of, but okay. It investigates the history, legends and locations associated with the Templars' rise and fall, and it examines the myths surrounding the knights, the belief that their hand can be seen in everything from the Cathar heresy to Masonic conspiracies, as well as their appearance in popular culture from Indiana Jones to Dan Brown. So, yeah. So that is a book. I have seen the movies Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons, so it kind of delves a little bit into the Templars sort of history and myth in those sort of books and films. So this is something that does really interest me. I have already started, and because I meant to film this video over a week ago, and I'm already on page 89, as with all history books, and this is a major sort of issue for me. I find that although I love history, and I love history so much. I was actually studying it at university, but I've had to go on a bit of a hiatus because of my health, but I want to go back to it and finish my degree. The problem with history books is they're very hard reading. It's like blah 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 blah, and there's no, like with a fiction book, you know, there's action and there's highs and there's lows, and you know, there's plots and there's things that make you want to turn the page, whereas with history books there's none of that. So although I am kind of enjoying it so far, it's a little bit slower going because there's nothing making me want to keep turning the page. There's nothing making me want to keep picking this up at every opportunity, like I did with The Killing Room. So we might be a while before we see the next update for this book challenge, because this might take me a little bit longer to read. Put it this way, for example, the last history-based book I read was Thomas Cromwell. Hang on a second. It was this book by Thomas It was Thomas Cromwell by Tracy Bolham, and it is that thick. It has, let me have a look, how many pages? Okay, it has 402 pages. This took me almost a whole year to read. This took me practically the whole of 2018 to read. This book was the reason why, when it came to 2019, I made the decision that I want to read more, because it shouldn't take me a whole year to read one book. It shouldn't. I'm a good reader. I love reading. But this book was hard reading for me. And it's because it's historical fact. It just doesn't have the pull for me that a fiction story has. So this Templars book has 346 pages. So yeah, I've got to get this read a lot quicker than the Thomas Cromwell one. So that is it. That is my update for my 19 books in 2019. I will say one thing is I have started a book journal. I have this beautiful notebook lying around. I have a lot of nice notebooks lying around. But I have this beautiful one with the foxes on. And so what I've done is I've created a contents page, so I can find out the books that I've read and what page that the review or whatever is going to be on. And then this was the first book that I read, which was The Shadowhunters City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. And so I write down the name of the book, the author, the publisher, the number of pages, the genre, and then how I discovered the book, when and where I read it, other books by the author I'd like to read, and then I do a rating from 0 to 10, 10 being exceptional, on the quality of writing, pace and plot development, characters, enjoyability, insightfulness and readability. Then I note whether I would recommend the book, and then I have a whole area for notes and opinions. And then I give an overall rating of what I think of the book. So I'm doing that for every book now that I am reading this year. So hopefully at the end of the year I will be able to do a best and worst of 2019. So yeah, if you're interested in any of that information, then please do like, comment and subscribe. Hit the bell button so you'll be notified when my next video goes up. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!